Irish podcaster Rob Heffernan is a former race walker and Olympic medalist. He hosts podcast Real Raw and is married to Marion and has 4 children. In a recent interview, Rob was asked about highlights in his life. This is how Rob replied. "There are high points in my life, and one of them for me was when my kids were born. It is an unbelievable feeling, a euphoria. Palm Sunday is a day of euphoria, a day in which church liturgy carries rich layers of meaning, deeply tied to the themes of humility, kinship, and prophetic fulfillment. Cloaks at the time of Jesus were personal, humble possessions, often worn as an outer layer for warmth and protection. In laying them down before Jesus, the people were acknowledging his authority, yet in a humble and non-royal way. Jesus, the King, rode into the city, not on a majestic horse, but on a donkey, a sign of peace. Zechariah had prophesied of such a king entering Jerusalem, righteous and having salvation, gentle and riding on a donkey. It's as if the people were laying down their lives, their possessions, and their comfort in recognition of his kingship. There's also a foreshadowing of the cross in the image of the cloak. The Palm Sunday liturgy begins with the joyful waving of palm branches. But the joy is quickly tempered by the knowledge that Jesus will soon suffer on the cross. The cloak, which was a symbol of honor in the moment of his entry, contrasts with the cruel stripping of his garments before his crucifixion. This juxtaposition reminds Christians of the journey Jesus undertook, from honor to humiliation, from triumph to suffering. It's a reminder that the path to glory often involves sacrifice and humility. When Rob Heffernan was asked, "What keeps you awake at night?" he replied, "When the kids have to go through stuff or have big competitions coming up, I would be more nervous than them because it's out of my control." When asked, "What's your biggest insecurity?" Rob answered, "Failure, not being good at something, a fear of not achieving what I set out to achieve." For many, the word fear is interwoven with Holy Week. Jesus is the suffering servant who speaks words of comfort to the weary while taking upon himself the violence of the world. He is betrayed by Judas and the disciples alike who seek to grasp for power. As he prays in the garden, the disciples fall asleep in a drunken stupor. As he is arrested, one of his disciples responds with the kind of violence that Jesus has come to end, and he heals his soon-to-be captor. As he is alone in his prison, those who are closest to him deny him in public, scattering to the winds in his hour of need. As he is crucified between 2 thieves, he is mocked by Roman soldiers, and yet responds with love to the good thief. When Rob Heffernan is asked, "What's the best piece of advice you've been given?" he replies, "Don't get distracted by the lights. You need to surround yourself with the right people and to not let anyone deter you from achieving what you want." Holy Week begins with Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. It is not just a moment of public acclaim, but a deeper revelation of God's saving presence. It reveals the self-emptying of God, the Word becoming flesh, entering into the world not with power or force, but in the form of humility. Palm Sunday encourages Christians to recognize that God's presence in the world is marked by vulnerability and humility. It is a moment for Christians to comfort their own expectations of God and to recognize that true discipleship requires moving beyond worldly notions. It teaches us that acclamation is fleeting. It helps us perceive that God's power is made perfect in weakness. Holy Week reveals the contrast between triumph and impending suffering. Jesus enters Jerusalem knowing full well what awaits him. His acceptance of this fate is not a passive resignation, but an active choice to fulfill God's will for humanity. Holy Week helps us perceive that Jesus' way is built not on domination, but on love and mercy, and that Jesus does not come to conquer by force, but to conquer hearts through his love and sacrifice. The Palm Sunday liturgy challenges our cultural understanding of power and leadership. Palm Sunday invites us to consider how we relate to Christ, the King of Peace, who reigns not through domination, but through self-emptying love. It is a moment to reflect on the nature of Christ's kingdom, one marked by humility, peace, and service. It calls us to question the ways in which we seek power and success in our own lives, urging us to choose the path of self-giving love that Jesus models. I have cheered Rob Heffernan to success in his athletic career, but what I liked most about his recent interview is the sense that, like so many parents, he empties himself so that his children may thrive. I believe that the title of his podcast, Real Raw, captures the essence of Palm Sunday and Holy Week. It's an emotional week where we are motivated to lay down our own cloaks in service of Christ, whether that's in humility, generosity, or commitment to his mission. Self-giving love is always real raw. Amen.